Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty
Good,
good. How about you?
good. I'm doing all right. Okay. I thought of a couple things I wanted to go over. First of all, I want to talk about the trial. I know it hasn't happened yet, but oh boy, when
Well,
in
one of the trials happened. Almost.
yeah,
The
the hearing, right? Yeah, but like
hearing. Yeah, the hearing.
yeah, but like when and if he actually goes to trial, like I forget who I heard this from, but like oh boy, I feel bad for the jury.
They're definitely going to have a very difficult decision to make. I feel that almost there could be a chance that they could sympathize with Chris, but at the same time, I feel like they
Yeah.
might be appalled to the point where it's like, no, fuck this guy.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. I'm kind of on the fence because I feel like he might end up with a lesser sentence. I don't actually. It just gonna depend on how it all goes. But like, just imagine because they're gonna have to show everything, not
Oh
just
yeah,
what
absolutely.
pertains to the case, but everything Christian has ever done. And look, I've only been in this. I've only known about Chris for like maybe 4 or 5 years to this point. So again, but like, what the little bits and pieces I know already like just hurts my brain on such a level that oh I
But I mean, honestly, before this,
mhm.
I thought Chris was dead. I thought he was the most
Yeah.
documented person, and then he just died. But apparently
Hmm.
he's still alive.
Yeah, no, he kind of everything with him kind of just went radio silent. Like
Yeah,
you didn't
yeah.
hear any. This is like, hey, I mean, it's quite the finale. I'll give him that.
It's the final saga to the series.
Yeah, it's some wild stuff. Yeah, no, I looked into that his lawyer, and I do think this guy will be able to. I think he'll be able to do a lot for Chris personally.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely, yeah. I think his ranking is like a 10
mhm.
point,
Yeah.
in
Hmm.
whatever ranking system. It always begs the questions like, why would they give him such a prestige,
Hmm. Hmm.
lawyer?
Well, and I mean, this would purely be speculation, but it's possible the lawyer knew somebody in Chris's family. I mean, it's possible, but doubtful. Chris may have just gotten the luck of the draw with that one, honestly.
Or, yeah.
Um, yeah, I hope they release like the trial footage because that's that. Oh, I just imagine like I watch a lot of like Law and Order SVU type stuff, so like you know,
Yeah.
um, uh, I I I just can't get over all of this really, and the fact that he's like up in the bail hearing begging for his plush toys, like, dude, dude, you're in serious like major fucking legal trouble here. Like even if anyone and I don't really I'm not like shaming him for it for having like I've got action figures and shit, right? It's fine. But like
Absolutely.
they're not going to let you have that in jail. Like
No.
no, it's not going to happen.
It just goes to show you that like how unaware Chris is in this entire situation. But even
Yeah.
with the eyewitnesses, they
Mhm.
even claim that towards the end that he started to realize it was like, oh wait, I think I'm actually fucked.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Yeah, I forget where I read this comment. I've been watching several videos on the subject, just really trying to absorb all of this because it's wild. But apparently, somebody else who has high functioning autism was like questioning Chris's diagnosis because like they'd apparently never met any high functioning autistic person that acted like this. I don't know what the qualifications are for that, but like Chris seems way more out of it than what most people like that do. Um, so yeah, no, I'm almost positive they'll do a psych eval for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
If they haven't already. So somebody was like, oh, what if he goes for the insanity defense? And I'm like, that's not going to happen.
I mean, it could be possible they put him in the mental asylum.
Yeah.
Seeing how he acts,
absolutely.
maybe, but...
yeah. But, like, it's a pretty flimsy defense, mainly just because it's really hard to prove, right? Like, there has to be... One of the main things here is that there has to be... The person being tried has to be able to distinguish between right and wrong, and that's the big one right there. And I'm almost positive, just by virtue of like that eyewitness testimony, Chris knows right from wrong, at least on some level. So, yeah, it's like the saying, even though I don't like Chris at all, I've never have, but it's like the saying, you either die before you see your heroes, or you live to see your heroes become villains. It's so it's a headache.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Just looking at the entire Chris Chan arc, you just look at it, it's just like, man, too much information.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I legitimately do believe the claim that he may be the most documented person on the internet. Like, everybody else, every other major internet figure that I can think of just peaks and then goes away, right? They have, like, 15 minutes of fame and that's it. Chris has, like, had ups and downs. It's like looking at the fucking Bitcoin stock. It just... So it really is weird, like... And, like, I'm 21, so, like, for a lot of this, I wasn't even old enough to really know who or, what Chris Chan had done. So,
same.
But, like, yeah. And then, go ahead.
I mean, like, if you just look at the arc, or just, like, the overall story, you could say, like, Chris Chan is the only villain in the story, or like, the antagonist.
Oh, but absolutely.
Honestly, it's like there's a lot of problems. Like there's a lot of issues. Like if you look at the information presented, like you start to see like there's a lot of problems that led Chris Chan down this path of just self-destruction.
Oh, absolutely.
And you have the mother just the parents in general not giving a shit. They're just letting him be him, and just to collect a check. And then you have the people online treating him like shit. Trolling him, pretending to be different women, pretending to be him.
Yeah.
It's just insanity. It just, if you look at it as a whole, you can just see humanity's pure cruelty.
Oh, absolutely.
At its finest.
Yeah, absolutely.
At its finest, yeah.
And that's like I do sympathize with Chris on a lot of that. Honestly, it does suck, right? It's not exactly fair, but at the same time, that'll probably lead into everything else down along the line. But like, it's unfortunately still not much of an excuse, right? He still did something that's pretty fucking monstrous.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. But no, like the trolls, man, like something that I've seen with Chris is he seems to lack like self-preservation, right? He doesn't seem to know when he's in hot shit. Like any other person would have never fucking bragged over the phone about what he did. Like they just out of fear alone, like you would not have done that. It would fuck you up down along the line. You'd probably end up in jail. Like, so it just, and I do think that's just because of like his mental illness and all that, like just this innate lack of self-preservation. Yeah. And gullibility as well. That's part of it. Like, I mean, if somebody was coming up like an internet troll and did half the shit that they did to Chris to me, I'd be like, you fuck you. I don't believe you for a damn second. Get on with your way, right?
Yeah, because like your everything mentally is there.
Yeah.
But with Chris Chan, it's not there.
No.
I think it's quite clear that if you look at Chris Chan's life, is there's a lot of bolts and nuts just like jingling inside his head. So to really try to compare yourself to him is like, oh, I want to do that. I don't think it's quite the fair comparison because Chris Chan is not the average person, right? This man is actually defective, and the whole point of like him being so comfortable with sharing the information is like, oh, he had incest with his mother. If the allegations are true about Bella Janke, then she essentially groomed him to do the consensual sussy with his mother, and then to tell her about that because it's again if all the allegations are true, like this was her entire plan. Right, she wanted to be the best troll, the most remembered troll of all time. And she wanted him to tell her so that she could have information to blackmail him because in the end of the day, she wanted him to kill himself.
Yeah,
it's insane that like if you want to call like one definite villain in this entire arc, it would have to be Bella Janke.
Oh, absolutely,
absolutely.
As even though what Chris did is horrible, or allegedly did. I keep forgetting that. You know what I mean. But like,
the incest is like basically confirmed because he just basically said it.
Yeah. But even with what he did, how bad, how horrible of a monster do you have to be to bait somebody into doing that, right? Like, it with Chris Chan, it is essentially the same thing with, like, grooming a kid, right? Like, it is basically the same thing. His mental capacity doesn't reach that of the average adult. So it is essentially grooming him. And that's just, it's so much more, like, when I saw all this going down, I was like, okay, that's fucked up. I'm gonna go take a cold shower. And then with Bella, and I'm like, oh my fucking God. That chick, honestly, again, she's so much worse than him. And it hurts me that she's probably going to get away with this scot-free, right? They're not... They're probably not going to... I don't even know if there's anything they can't... I guess they could charge her as an accomplice, because she basically is. But whether or not they're going to do that is up in the air, I guess.
Yeah, if you look at the information that was presented about, Bella's past, it almost seems unreal. Like, the kind of heinous shit that she's done it seems too unrealistic, but at the same time, it's like, it could be possible, but it just sounds too bad to be true. Instead of, the whole, like, oh, it's too good to be true, it sounds too bad to be true.
Yeah.
Like, if you read the document that someone had on Twitter, like, it had 76 fucking points of, like, terrible shit she's done.
Yeah.
Like, what in the actual fuck causes you to bring pain to people and then get enjoyment out of that? Like, something obviously went wrong, right? This is a fatherless child right here,
Yeah, absolutely. It does just seem, like, cartoonishly evil. It's like... Fucking half the people on any cop show you watch aren't as bad as this chick. It's like, like a supervillain. Yeah, absolutely. Like fucking James Bond villain. Actually, no, she's worse than the fucking James Bond villains. It's like, it's wild. Like, I just... It really does just feel... Like, life at this point just feels like I'm living through a shitty SNL skit. Like... It does not feel real, and it's why I use the phrase what is it, life imitates art, or reality is stranger than fiction. It's just everything. The minute you think it's getting better, the minute you think the world just isn't continuing to burn, something like this happens. It's crazy.
I will say this though, if they find information, like hard-hitting evidence about Bella, I think that could definitely bring down the sentence, like the severity of the sentence of Chris.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If they can, like, 100% confirm that was her on the other end of the call, and I'm betting that the cut that's released probably isn't the entire call. Like, I imagine there's more. I don't know if they've released the full call, but yeah. So, and I think Mudahar, some ordinary gamers did some video on the situation, specifically the claim that it could have been deepfake audio. And he tried out, if I remember correctly, he tried out something, and it just did not create his voice accurately. So I don't think that technology is there, but that's a claim I've seen plenty of people using, is that maybe it was like when it all started with Chris, and they're trying to I guess they're trying to say the same thing for Bella, but I'm pretty sure that call's legit. So, and
yeah. I think everyone thinks that call is legit. Like, I would be hard pressed to, even think about having that being a deep fake, but that could be a thing that David brings up in the the arguments, like, this call could possibly be deep fake, and he could have someone that could make a legitimate voice of Chris Chan, so it could be a thing.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that depending on where you go for voice deep fakes, they're either really, really good or really, really bad. But there's still very slight differences you can notice. Like, you have to feed that algorithm a lot of audio for it to get your voice that good. Like, it learns over time, right? So the more of your voice you feed it, the better the end product is going to be. But
when you say that, then I feel like that could actually be plausible, because, like you said before, Chris Chan is the most documented person online, and he has a bunch of videos. And so if there is an algorithm like that, they could just literally feed his entire YouTube channel or his entire fucking existence in that algorithm, and it could possibly make a very realistic sounding Chris Chan.
It might. I mean, I know audio quality would come into the equation, and I've seen some of the videos on Chris's channel. Like, they're not the best audio quality. Which, to be fair, it was like, what, he started his channel at the dawn of YouTube, didn't he? Like, it was like 2007 or whatever.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. So, but then again, I don't know. I haven't toyed around with this with any of these programs all that much myself. Mainly just seen other people do it. Like, somebody made a carbon copy of, like, Eminem. Like, they rewrote one of his songs to fit 2020, and then, like, deep faked his voice, and it was freaking on spot. So yeah, it could be, but I don't know, man. I'm just like, there seems to be more of that call, and if there's more of that, like, if it was deep faked, right, you would release it all at once. It wouldn't matter, because at that point, any damning evidence in there is invalid because you faked it, right? So
that's fair, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm really kind of hoping, because, like, again, as much as I dislike Chris, Bella is like number uno for the fucking worst one in this whole debacle. Like, I want to see her go down. I would much, like, I'm kind of on the fence with this, but I think Chris needs punishment, but I also think they need help too, like mental help. Yeah. Bella is just so criminal that, honestly, I can't see anything. Like, I legitimately, okay, so, like, I'm pretty sure you could probably diagnose her as a psychopath. Like, and that's not something that you can just change. Like, people have been calling her Machiavellian, which is basically a psychopathic personality type, which is accurate. And it's just like, Chris could come back from this a better human being, right? But the way she is, like, that's so ingrained in who you are. You have to catch that at a young age, otherwise it's impossible to treat. Like, I don't see her ever stopping what she's doing. If it wasn't Chris, it would be somebody else. And I can guarantee you, now that she's gotten that 15 minutes of internet fame, it'll happen again.
Yes, I definitely agree that she needs to be pulled out of society. Mm-hmm. But, like, that also brings up the problem. It's like the state failed in this entire situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, how did they allow Chris Chan to take care of his like dementia-ridden mother You
Yeah.
know, you look at the videos and you're just like, how is he able to take care of her? Like, I'm surprised even at this point that she's even still alive. You know, it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's absolutely insane how the fucking state didn't just come in and be like, okay, you're pretty much unfit to take care of your own goddamn mother, so we're gonna put her, you know, we're gonna take her away, put her, you know,
Yeah, even if he hadn't
better
done,
situation.
even if he hadn't done what he did, he's still like nowhere near competent enough to take care of her.
No, absolutely not.
So
This
yeah,
is just the consequences of not paying attention, you know,
yeah.
not
Well,
doing something.
unfortunately, there's a lot of cases that are wide out in the open, but just nobody does anything about it. And it's hard. It's hard to get, like, the government to intervene, right? Like, it's not the most easy thing in the world, but it can be doable. And Chris was never at a state. The most useful thing was the monthly income. That's like the one thing that I think kept him and his mother afloat, right? And he just spent the majority of that on toys, from what I know, anyways. So it's like, yeah.
That reminds me of the story of, I believe, Bob. When he died, he gave Chris Chan his stamp collection, and then he's like, "Oh, please take care of it, son. Please take care of it." And then the first thing he does, he fucking sells that shit on eBay.
Yeah.
For money. He's like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
Fucking shitty son."
Absolutely. Like, from the from the letter that was given to Chris, his father, I don't know how good of parents they were, but at the very least his father seems loving, right? Yeah, he did care about him.
Like, if you could actually give empathy or sympathy to anyone in this entire story, it would have to be Bob. Okay, like, Bob
absolutely.
is like I feel like, the most innocent person out of this entire situation.
Yeah, no. I don't know exactly when he passed, but I imagine that Barb, when she wasn't, dementia-ridden back in her youth, that she probably didn't intervene with Chris all that much.
No, she wanted that fucking check. What do you mean?
Yeah, so
she wanted that disability check.
Yeah, so like, and it annoys me because like greed does come into these equations, and if she hadn't been like that, Chris might have been better off, right? So
yeah,
it's like you're absolutely right. The father's like the only one. Now, granted, he hasn't really been alive, so we don't have much to go off of. But what we do have to go off of seems like a chill dude. He seems like he legitimately loved his son enough to like give him basically everything he owned. And Chris, it annoys me when people do that, when they just sell off family heirlooms. Like, I don't really care how bad down in the dumps you are. Don't do that. This is like the one thing you have from them. Don't be greedy. You wouldn't catch me doing that ever. So yeah, it's like.
Well, I mean, it really depends on the situation. I can't really just be like, don't sell your. It could be like your child has died. He could have cancer. And I have this car that I got from my dad. But it costs a lot of money. So does the treatment for cancer. So I might as well sell it off.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it just depends on the situation.
That's fair, but like I'm just talking from you're in a stable place that's just not very financially viable, right? Like don't sell off. Like no, if you're homeless or if you've got a kid that's done, no, absolutely. Do whatever you can to get money for that. You need to help yourself and you need to help your children. I totally get it, but like Chris's situation, obviously not. Like, you shouldn't have done that. That was a dick move.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so yeah. Just talk about the Christorians for a moment, because oh my god. Everybody I feel bad for some of these for some of these guys, because like some of them have like their entire channels dedicated, like to the point where they're probably living off of that YouTube income, and to just have the tables, the rug ripped right out of under you kind of sucks. I mean, you'll never catch me using YouTube as like my actual income, because it's sucky. You don't get. I'll put this into perspective. My cousin started a YouTube channel. She's vastly more subscribers than mine, like in the thousands more, and she makes like $8 a month.
Oh, wow.
You could get that from like a normal fucking Granted, she's 14 at the moment, so she doesn't really need to be, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah,
it's still
absolutely.
it's not viable. YouTube will always be a hobby, but I do sympathize for those who, just use it as a career and basically are utterly fucked.
Right.
It's like the whole...
I'll say this, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when it comes to... This is going to be very hypocritical, especially to the things I've said in the past in my Chris Chan videos, but I don't have sympathy for the Christorians, especially those who, basically made their entire channel around making videos in Chris Chan. Because they saw everything, right? And they documented everything. I believe they had a chance to help him. I believe they had a chance to maybe, cost someone, get him some help, but instead they allowed him to roll in his own filth. Yeah. They pushed him to the point to get more content from him. Like, if they're making good money off of him, like in a business wise, it would be very unviable to get him some help. Because if he gets help, then like there's no money, right? So these people are clearly profiting off of his, his failures and his problems and shit like that. So I really have no sympathy. Fuck those guys. Yeah. But at the same time, I said that I'm making good money off of Chris Chan's failures as well. So I guess fuck me as well. But I have no sympathy for the Christorians, especially those who made, entire channels dedicated to Chris Chan.
Well, the difference between you and them is that, you're not dedicating your entire career to this. Like, you're kind of an outsider compared to them. I completely agree. Like, they could have called in a welfare check, or hell, people did that to like Eugenia Cooney and she didn't even fucking want them to, right? Like, there could have been some sort of intervention there, absolutely. Like, so yeah, I get it. I'm kind of on the fence because like I know how shitty it is to like not make enough money. Like, but then again, you're absolutely right. They could have done something and didn't. So it is what it is. Like, unfortunately. Like, I even saw somebody, like, make a video titled, Could Chris Chan Have a Happy Ending? And, like, this whole situation just gets, like, more abysmal the more you think about it. Like, even if Chris gets out of this with a slap on the wrist, right? Like, barely any jail time. It goes on his record. He's banned from practically everything in his own town. So it's like...
He's fucked.
Yeah, he's... And they're not gonna let him go back to where he used to live at all. Like, that's not happening.
No.
And there's no way in hell he could get a job. He's like, what, 40 and doesn't have any work experience? Like, at all? So, yeah, no. It's like, it's a clusterfuck. It's, like, I seriously, like, There was some situations recently, specifically with Scott Cawthon. This is like these are the types of reasons why I don't fucking use Twitter anymore. Just all of this shit. Because for some reason, everything bad in the world permeates on fucking Twitter.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just...
It's the like Twitter's the hub of just
Mm-hmm.
complaining about stupid shit and trying to ruin people's careers off of like really stupid petty garbage that happened like 5 or 6 years ago. Like, I understand keeping people accountable and some shit like that, but there's some limits that people just don't know. There's some boundaries that you shouldn't cross. Like, there is no understanding within like the Twitter community.
No,
there's no compassion for your fellow man.
There's
no, it's
vitriol.
Just, you are an inconvenience to me, therefore you need to be destroyed.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I think Chris Chan's situation as a whole is a good way to look at it. You see, the reason like I'm against cancel culture is because what are you really doing? Like, if anything, the few like legit predators that have been knocked off the internet, that didn't do anything. That just got rid of their online platform. Yeah, that's going to mitigate how badly they can spread, but they're who they are. They're going to keep doing that anyways. You need to get this in the legal system, not in the court of public opinion, right? So,
well, I think the thing is to eliminate the threat. I think that's the biggest thing. Obviously, you can't help the person, but
no.
To give you an example, like Lion Maker, he's actually he's an actual convicted, Sasibaka, and he, in that case, absolutely get rid of him, right? Like get rid of this threat. Well, especially with the kind of content that he's making.
Oh, absolutely.
He's making content specifically for kids, and that's the kind of thing he's into.
Absolutely.
So, eliminate the threat.
Absolutely. But then again, even though that is a good thing to do, people seem to not be able to distinguish that between somebody they don't like, which is it's why
That's fair.
It's why I've been on the fence about like cancel culture, because I do agree people like Lion Maker, the whole Shane Dawson situation, it's disgusting, abhorrent behavior that cannot be allowed to continue. But then again, Scott Cawthon gets thrown into the same barrel. Any celebrity that says the N-word on Twitter gets thrown into the same barrel, and that's not fair. That's just not. They're not comparable, right? So I almost feel like cancel culture and weeding out people like Lion Maker is like a necessary evil, but then again, still hurts my brain. When people...
it has its uses, absolutely, but for the most part, it's a miss rather than a hit.
Absolutely, but yeah, no. Trying to rope back around to Chris. I don't want to get too. I have a tendency to off track.
Oh, same here.
Yeah,
same here. Bunny trails, man. Fucking suck.
Yeah. Okay, what I had something in mind. It's gone. Okay, we could let's talk about more about his lawyer. I think that's honestly fast. What I vaguely remember a video. You said you actually got something back from him, didn't you, or one of his assistants, or?
Yeah, it was apparently a statement that has already been released. I thought that was just a statement, specifically towards me, because I did send him an email and I got a reply back from one of his, people from his team. But yeah, it was apparently like a statement saying like, "Oh, don't believe everything that you hear online, blah blah blah." You know, like it doesn't matter whether or not you're a troll, supporter, journalist, or shit like that. So it's kind of like your run-of-the-mill generic response.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, just the thing about it is as juicy as that interview would have been if it had gone through. There's just
man, it would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just unfortunately attorney-client confidentiality. That's it's if they engage with anybody, it's a risk that they'll. Because, when you're talking with people, you're not necessarily really thinking too much about what to filter out. So something could slip and then a mistrial could happen or something like that, which even if you believe your client's innocent, you don't want that because that could come back to bite you in the ass. So it's a mess right there. But after I would try and contact them after all the trial.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because then they'll be able to. It'll all be public information for the most part, and they can talk. They'll know what they can and can't talk about. So yeah, no, like this is just gonna. I'm interested to see what happens on the 17th or the 16th. Is it 17th? I think it's the 16th of September.
Yeah,
with that preliminary. You know what I mean. Yeah, that little hearing, because then we'll start to get into the juicy shit, like if they have enough evidence to move to trial and all that.
Right.
So
one of my comments said that if they really wanted to make a lot of money out of this, they should live stream the court hearing. Ooh, man. You don't know how many people would fucking turn out for that shit.
I saw that comment. Absolutely. It's like the Drake Bell situation. I don't know if you saw that or not, but Drake Bell, the guy. Yeah. And dude, that's been like one of the most hilarious memeable things in a while. That they took like the Drake and Josh soundtrack and then edited it over the court, the guilty plea and shit. It's hilarious. Like, and again, even, yeah, they'll make money too, but just imagine, like, the spread of that. They'll do the exact same thing they did with the Drake Bell, but with Chris Chan, and it's just like,
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
it would become one of the biggest memes really fucking fast. Like, people would almost forget just how horrible the source material that they're using is rooted, like how much horrid shit it's rooted in, just because of the meme ability. It almost creates like a cognitive dissonance. You kind of forget how bad it is.
Well, not only that, it's like even the new people who are just getting into Chris Chan, like they don't know what happened, like unless they looked up the information. And there's a bunch of memes about that too. You know, it's like, oh, when you start looking at the new Chris Chan, or just just looking back into the Chris Jorian stuff. But it's just how it is. You know, people are just gonna like almost forget or just not even know the lore of Chris Chan until they actually look it up.
And then it's gonna be like, oh, I didn't need to know that.
It's like their mind just starts to implode on itself. It's like,
yeah. It's like it's like an open secret almost. It's like there are people who just are either weren't old enough at the time, or just still aren't old enough, or just didn't care, that don't know how rooted and how bad all this shit really is. I don't even know it to the full extent, because like,
neither do I.
Yeah, so it's like, it's wild. Okay, this came to mind. I don't know who this guy is. I've just seen a lot of people start calling him out. Do you know anything about the Gibby guy? That Gibi.
The Gibby dude from iCarly?
No. There's this YouTuber who has the same name as their user. That's been just covering the Chris Chan situation way before like any of the actual incriminating stuff came out. Apparently, like I've looked back through their channel, and a couple of their videos have popped in my recommended. They've been doing this for at least a couple of years. But I've just seen basically everybody turn on this guy. And I don't really know the full extent why. Like, apparently he was spreading a lot of misinformation. He was in contact with Bella, which, if true, is a really fucking stupid move. But, you know, what are you gonna do? It's yeah, so I don't know. I came across this channel, and I saw he was doing, so I just started watching a couple of his videos. I don't even, again, so I don't know how far down this rabbit hole goes. I was still pretty much a fetus when the majority of this was happening, so it's like, but yeah, even the community is just like turning on each other. It's wild. It's like I expect vitriol between every opposing side, but like, you know, it's like fucking an episode of the Twilight Zone or some shit. Like, it just doesn't feel real, you know?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, though, I think I understand why there's like so much like infighting within the community and shit like that, or just with different people. Like, at the end of the day, even though this is entertaining, you know, that's I'd say that's pretty fucked up to say, but at the end of the day, you know, Chris Chan is still a human individual, and I understand why people don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt, because, you know, he's accused of being, you know, in a unconsensual relationship with his own mother and shit like that. But, you know, at the end of the day, the reality is reality, and he's a human being.
Yeah.
And that's why so many people are so adamantly, I guess, against people having fun, you know, talking about this, you know, making fun of him. Also, there's people, you know, making sure that we use the correct pronouns and shit like that. It's like there's like different things here and there that just causes everyone to be at each other's throat, you know, because of one individual, that person being Chris Chan. Yeah.
It kind of just comes into play as like, I get everybody's individual, right? It just kind of depends on how badly you view this crime. Like, it's possibly like, if you throw rape into the mix, it's pretty much one of the worst crimes you can commit. I don't blame people on either side of the pronoun issue. I get why you want to treat him like a human being, and I also understand why you want to treat him like a fucking monster. It's like a hard situation to be in. It's why, like, I curse a little bit in my script. I'm usually much more funny, but I just didn't feel like this was didn't feel like this was the situation to try to be humorous. I just be a little bit more informative. So it's like you just everybody's going to be different at the end of the day, and it's all going to affect people differently. So we really need to just like stop fighting and really just focus on the issue, right?
On the main issue,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah. It's like it's with so many facets of life. We get so worked up in who's right, who's wrong, opinions versus facts versus feelings. It's like we get so mixed up in the nitty gritty, we forget to actually work towards a common goal or towards an issue. So it's headache inducing, but no, we need to focus on the issue. And honestly, just the fact that this didn't go unchecked is good. Chris needed to go to court for this, and just knowing how many like people on the internet basically get away with a lot of shit, it's good to see that this is at least being handled in the legal system. So
right.
It's a win in my book. It's like, again, why I wrote it in the script. I don't really feel either way on if he gets help or if he just gets thrown in prison. It's both. It can go both ways. Like, they need help, but they also did something that's just horrendous, and you know, you might need help, but you also gotta serve your time for what you did. So
absolutely. I would even say, even earlier than that, we had a victory with I guess, like the county police taking away Barb and putting a restraining order so that Chris can't go near his mother. I would say that's a grand victory.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You're taking a very vulnerable person out of a dangerous situation. Even if the allegations against Chris weren't true, she needed to be removed. It's just how it is. It was not like, I've seen current pictures of their house. It's living in literal fucking trash. It's like what you see on one of those TV shows talking about like hoarders or some shit, right? So yeah, I really do, even though with the whole greed aspect, I really do hope Barb gets better out of this, like, honestly. I really, it's hard to tell like how bad her dementia is just over video, because you're only ever getting snippets of it at a time. And you know,
but it just seems bad. It's like like the most recent videos, it just seems like she is unaware of where the fuck she's going. You know, until Chris starts talking to her, and then she's like, "Oh, you kind of return back into reality." And then once she's done with her, she just like floats back into the shadow realm.
Yep. Get back in there, Yuki. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I haven't dealt with dementia personally, at least not yet. But as far as I can tell, people do mostly dip in and out, right? There are some days where it's really bad, and there's some days where it's really not. So it again, even though we've seen the worst of it, have we seen the best of it? So, you know. But no, it's just like a messy gray area of, you don't know enough to really form a conclusive opinion on a lot of this. Like, it's just, it's internet anonymity, essentially. Like, you don't know enough about this to really. So many other cases are like pretty cut and dry, right? But this just is not. I mean, it's obvious that he did what he did, but all the other circumstances around that will inevitably end up mattering in the case. So it's, I almost as much as I'm interested in Chris's attorney, I want to see what the defense has to say. Like, that shit could be really interesting. Like, I mean, there's the obvious, but like, I've seen. Okay, I forget who this chick was, Casey something, but she killed her kids. She's a pathological liar, but Casey Anthony, there we go. She's a pathological liar, and if I remember correctly, she killed her kid, but she got off scot-free because her lawyer was just that good. Versus the defense of that, which were very piss poor. Like, her lawyer was like, he had to be like a public speaker or something, because he was able to like nail his points and make them seem as valid as they could be. Versus the defense, which just felt like they were reading off of a cue card.
Right.
So,
I mean, just look at OJ.
Yeah.
Same thing
Oh,
with
absolutely.
OJ. If it does not fit, you must acquit.
Yeah, that's like that. Like, that made any sense. But yeah, no, absolutely.
It worked in the end,
Oh, it did. It did.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. I mean, again, like, it's so hard not to laugh at the absurdity of all this. Like, it's as horrible as what most of these people have done. Like, fucking, like, I forget, Bill Cosby was in jail, and this will be a bit of a tangent, but it's still kind of funny. Horribly funny, but, funny nonetheless. He basically, his lawyer said, if you testify in this civil suit case, we won't prosecute you for anything you say. And then they turned around and prosecuted him for everything he said, causing a fucking mistrial. And I'm like, how inept do you have to be? Like, this is like basic shit. You can't break any sort of legally binding agreement you make between you and your client like that. Like, you as a lawyer had to know that would backfire. Like, there's just...
I mean, that's what you get. That's what you get for being shitty people, you allow this individual to walk out. Did you see the video of him actually leaving the jail?
No, I have not. I didn't know there was, like, any evidence.
Oh, my fucking God, dude. Okay, so as he was walking out and everyone was, like, taking photos, the first thing he goes, he says, hey, 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 and everyone goes, like, hey, hey, and everyone just stopped, like, it became dead silent. Like,
oh my God.
Goes, hey, hey, hey. Dude, it was absolutely based.
Oh
absolutely
my God.
Do that shit.
Oh my God. That's rich. Like, that's hilarious. Like, I thought them feeding him Jello or whatever, or pudding with the fucking popsicles that he used to promote was funny.
That shit's funny, yeah.
Yeah, that's even more hilarious. It's like, I didn't watch this video. It's on my list of things to eventually check out. I just don't really care that much for this guy's channel, but he does pop out a couple interesting videos every now and again. But it was, how do we talk about Bill Cosby or The Cosby Show? And I'm like, okay, I'll come back to this later, because that's bound to be an interesting video. Because, it is, like, how do you talk about this shit? It's kind of hard sometimes, because, again, you've got everybody who wants to joke. You've got people who are, like, rightfully disgusted. This really, really never is, like, a big deal with most internet influencers or most celebrities. It's only the beloved ones, or the ones that are so weird, quirky, or cringy, or whatever, that they just stand out for as long as, like, what Chris Chan did. Like, well, fucking... I took me a while to even realize Lion Maker was convicted. I heard nothing of that for, like, the longest time. It's like, it's like he's a blip on the radar of bigger blips. I would
say that's a good thing.
Oh, absolutely. These people like Lion Maker don't need any notoriety whatsoever. But then you've got people like Cosby that were just as bad, if not worse. And, everybody memes it. He started a fucking Twitter account, and so did OJ. It's like, what the fuck?
Oh, that shit was so wild.
Yeah.
It's like, what? And they were like, "Oh, I'm innocent." No, I think the best one is Cosby saying like, "Oh, I'm innocent, guys. Yep. You see, I was innocent all along." He's like, "No, you're not. It's just you were let go early because they fucked you up."
Yeah. The
court system.
Yeah, no. I think I was watching fucking Chris Reagan's video on that, and it was like somebody was like doing a parody of the BoJack Horseman theme, and it's like, in the 90s, I was acquitted of a very famous murder or something. It like didn't fit with the syllables at all, but it was still pretty fucking hilarious. So yeah, no. People who do shit like that should not try to come back on Twitter. You're not welcome. I mean, basically, by Twitter's community, basically nobody's welcome unless you fit into this very specific woke mold. But it's like, what are you expecting to happen here? Like, are you expecting your diehard loyal Cosby Show fans to fucking come and flock? Like, it's not going to happen. Nobody, no sane human is ever going to support you again. Fuck off, right? Unless they're like children who didn't know any better or some shit. Like that's kind of like where, but like nobody in this generation that's that young ever watched the Cosby Show. It's like, Gen X and maybe my age with fucking first wave of Gen Z. It's nobody else is watching that shit. So you're not gonna get your fame back. It's just not gonna happen. And honestly, like, I'm kind of curious to see whether Chris fades into obscurity after this or not. Like, I mean, there's just so little to come back from this that it's like, it's the end to a saga, essentially, right?
Right.
An entire fucking, it could fill like 6 history books all on its own, like 6 large textbooks. It's crazy. And I mean, I all quote unquote good things have to come to an end eventually, I guess. So yeah, it's, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it again, like, I'm not always in the best place mentally. Like, that whole Scott Cawthon situation messed me up. Like, I was just so fucking angry for like a week, right? Because it's so stupid, and it's so like, I'll go into spells of just feeling like shit about this one issue, and it keeps happening over and over again. And I try to like distance myself from it. It's why I stopped using Twitter. It's just to get away from all the negativity. But every time you think you're out, pulls you right back in. Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know. I think it's just the pandemic. I really do. Everybody's been inside and fucking stir crazy, and it's like, it's like why there's been so many more like quote unquote Karen sightings or whatever, more people that go out to the store and bitch at some clerk. It's just that we've all been locked inside of our homes for like the past year and a half. But
I'd say, like, if you need something to do during this pandemic, get a plan. Get a plan. Take care of that shit.
Yeah. I've been spending a hell of a lot more time with my family. I've been trying to, I'm just trying to get out more, do more shit, abiding by the rules if necessary with social distancing, wearing a mask. But yeah, no, it's just like people are only going to. It's like isolation, right? You're stuck. And maybe you're out, maybe you're in your house and you don't actually have any family that lives by, and you're stuck there just fucking binging Netflix, doing whatever you can to keep yourself sane. It just doesn't really work out, right? So
yeah, because we're naturally social creatures.
Yeah, we want to go out and do stuff with other people, and you just can't cut that off. I mean, fucking, I think there was like a ton of social experiments, if you will. I know that's not the right term. It's more like downright abuse before the whole scientific experiment-y, whatever the fuck you want to call it, got more ethical. But like, there was a whole bunch of people just signing something for get a certain amount of money if they just stay in a room by themselves for certain periods of time, just so scientists could see how badly it would affect people. And they got like auditory and visual hallucinations, and it's like I actually, I'm kind of embarrassed. I stole that from a MatPat video, but it's fucking Portal 2. But yeah, no, it's true though. Like, So it's been a long ride, and thankfully things do seem to be getting back into normalcy. I actually we caught that new strand, or at least my brother caught that new strand of COVID. Don't worry, he's fine. But like, I don't know. This virus mutates fucking every other day of the week, pretty much.
Yeah, there's like new DLC coming out.
Yeah, exactly. Except it's not going to patch the game. It's just going to make it worse.
Make it worse, yeah.
Yeah, so, but we do seem to be getting back into a form of normalcy, which is good. My favorite movie theater that I was worried was going to just die, they've opened back up. I'm a big film buff, so we go out there quite a bit. So
we actually had a Pizza Hut shut down for COVID. It was so sad, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's been there for basically my entire life. Since I've been here in the South, and it's like, it's the go-to place. It's the go-to place to get pizza and stuff like that. But
absolutely.
When it shut down, a piece of me just died. I was like,
absolutely.
There goes some nostalgia.
It's like you're losing a piece of like your childhood or your early teens. It's not fun. So absolutely. This whole pandemic has just been stupid. It's like, again, it's like fucking, we haven't had something this bad since like what, the Spanish flu. Like, it's wild. It's almost, I think it's almost why a lot of people are just conditioned to bad things happening at this point. Like, if another school got shot up or something, it'd be like that fucking episode of South Park parodying it. They'd just be like, oh, okay.
It happened.
Mm-hmm. It's like, these things. Yep. And I guess that's good about the Chris Chan situation, that people are taking note and people are angry about it. And, we're not just like, oh, this is just another thing that happened this week, whatever. Morality isn't completely, like, these people's, moral compass isn't just, like, fucking smashed to bits because of the endless amount of BS that's happened. So that's good.
They're not looking at the situation like, oh, Chris Chan, you quirky devil, you having incest with your mother.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, okay, all right, Chris, all right, it's fine, we still love you. No, it's like actual legitimate outrage, and I really haven't seen that, like, where it's, valid in quite a while. So good.
Then you have Bella, though, where people are like, oh, it's okay. Yeah, you did a lot of stupid shit because you're hot, you got big titties.
That annoys me. Because, like, I don't...
She's not even that hot, dude. No. The only thing that's, like, positive about her, she has big boobs, but, like, are you really gonna, like, skip the fact that she cooked her hamster alive, boiled it? You really gonna skip that out, bro?
You seen their fucking feet? Like, I think it was posted on some hate forum. Like, you could see her crusty ass toenails. Like, yeah, absolutely. And it was like, it was disgusting looking. I don't even know where they got those photos, to be honest. But I was like, is that like an ad for like something to help your feet? And then the person mentions it, and it's like, no, it's actually a picture of her feet. And I'm like, no, there's even if you could look past the physical aspect and still want to like get with her, right? Like, what the fuck? Like, her personality would have to be manipulative and horrible, right? Like, it's just
that's the thing that appeals to some guys, I would imagine. Like, there's some sadistic fucks out there who are like, hey, I want to get fucking gaslighted every day.
Maybe, but not me, man. Like, there's nothing. I wouldn't touch that chick with a 17-foot pole.
No. Like, I have a fucking pet dog. At one point, I was like, "Where's the dog? What's the dog doing?" The dog's like having a fucking seizure. She goes like, just dancing,
dude.
Like, but she like fucking beat the dog like several times.
Dude,
it's like, oh, it's okay. Oh, you got big tits. Who cares? It's okay. You can beat my dog all you want.
I'm a pet owner, so that's fucked. That's fucked. I'm sorry. That's
literally like how brain dead, like how like Coomer indensed like reality do you have to be okay with that? You know,
Yeah.
like, with all the shit she's done, and you just turn around and be like, I don't care, bro. I can fix her. That's like the main meme that's come out from this entire situation. I can fix her.
But
like, it's like they look at it as like, oh, it's a little scratch. It's like a car that's like literally rusting at the fucking core. It's like, it's just a scratch. I can fix it. No problem.
This is the car that this isn't a scratch. This is the car that got fucking compounded into a square cube of metal. This is not like I don't think people really understand like how ingrained something like sociopathy or psychopathy is into a person. Like, it's not something that you can just wash away or fix, right? Like, they're not going to stop behaving like that. And yeah, no, there's just not, again, like, I'm not even like, I don't give a fuck about the tits thing. Like, I don't care. There's nothing you could do. It's just like, how can you look at that list of shit? Like, even if you thought you could fix her, like, fuck, like, that would scare me away. I'd be like, the fuck? Like, you know, it's just, it's, a lot of that shit on there's criminal, too. Like, geez, like, you've got a rap sheet and people don't even fucking know it.
See, the thing is they're not looking at the list.
I know.
They're not looking at the list.
Yeah, fair. They're not paying attention to the glaring red flags. Yeah. And you know, I'm willing to bet some of them aren't serious. They're just fucking doing it for the meme.
Yeah,
they're
just memeing.
Yeah, which is fine. Like, totally, I get it.
Sure.
I basically. That was all my Twitter was for. Like, I didn't get into the discourse at all. I just kind of fucked around. It's just, I mean, what else are you gonna do on a lunch break or a weekend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get it, but like, you know, I
the people who are serious, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, there's
legitimately.
There's something wrong with them if they're serious, and you know. Even if, and I know I'm kind of circling back here, but even if they don't attach her to Chris's case, I bet you there's something on that list that has substantial evidence. But again, doubt cops would actually give enough of a fuck. I mean, but yeah, no, I kind of feel like she deserves to be in a cell more than Chris does, if I'm being like, completely honest.
But you see, the problem here is that I don't think she is. Like, I feel like no one's really caring about, Bella. Because, number one, she's considered good looking, and number two, she's a woman, you know? Yeah. And so people are not going to pay attention. It's like it's like what people say, right? Like, people don't give a shit about women pedophiles.
Yeah,
right? Like, it's all about the men pedophiles. Like, they get, like, executed shit like that. But when it comes to a woman doing that shit, it's like, no one fucking cares.
It's a double standard, absolutely.
Absolutely. A double standard.
It's like, fuck, I keep thinking back to South Park episodes. That should just show you how bad all of this is. Where like, Kyle's like, the teacher slept with his brother, and he goes up to the cops, and he's like, hey, the teacher slept with my brother, and they're like, okay, what was his name? And he's like, no, it was a woman. And they're like, oh, nice. It's exactly like that, and it's infuriating. Actually, interestingly enough, that's kind of this is a shameful little secret, but I used to be a fan of Creepshow Art. It did until all the shit came out about her. But that's actually kind of what got me into her channel to begin with. She talked about that weird, creepy chick that was like, I think she was working at Cartoon Network and was like stalking this 14-year-old emo boy at some fucking carnival or whatever. He was like with his mother, and she's got her boyfriend to take pictures of him. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? And she like went on Tumblr and posted about it and like hashtag pedophile under the tags, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
No fucking way. That's insane.
It's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. And I'm like, what the fuck?
It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like, I get there's some people out there who are just like really fucking proud of being the most despicable individual out there. You know, you get the fucking maps on Twitter, but my fucking god,
Well, you also got to remember the maps originated on Tumblr, actually, and they
Tumblr?
migrated to Twitter. They basically
because like a lot of people from Tumblr migrated to Twitter,
yeah,
because of the whole porn ban thing.
yep,
Where
yep.
they're like, oh, we can't porn anymore, so
Can't
yeah, I can see that. Absolutely.
yeah. So it's like, yeah, Tumblr really. It's like the OnlyFans thing too. It's like you're cutting out the OnlyFans ban. Didn't they like recant that or something? Like,
yeah, literally like 2 days later after it was
like,
announced.
It's like you thunder fucks. Like, what are you doing? But it's the same. It's the same thing. Like, you're cutting out the main reason people go. Like, yeah, you're gonna have. There are going to be some legal problems on your site, but like that's what moderation is for. You can't even be held accountable. They can't. Like you. It's like why YouTube isn't held accountable for the amount of people that are outed and convicted as pedos, you know? It's because there's laws in place that protect sites like YouTube, Twitter, Facebook from what their users do.
Right.
Which, honestly, is kind of a double-edged sword because then, you know, YouTube just doesn't do anything or Twitter just doesn't do anything until you've got like an angry mob of like fucking people in pitchforks at their front door. Like that's what annoyed me so much about like the Elsa Gate situation, all that shit on YouTube Kids, is they didn't fucking get rid of it until they had angry parents at their doorstep.
Yeah.
It's like, you know. So yeah, no, like it's all like a double-edged sword. There's pros and cons to everything. Well, not everything, but you know what I mean. There's pros and cons to all of this. Like, even Chris Chan, yeah, he's either going to get help or he's going to get punished for what he did, or both, possibly. So It's like, it's the fucking scale or whatever, you know. So, yeah, it's, but yeah, no. Back to what. I completely agree. I still can't believe that she posted that. Like, okay, I get it. There are some people that post shit like that are joking, right? Like, fucking, who is it that posted, I forget who it was. Some motherfucker in the film industry posted all those pedophile jokes. They were gross. They were disgusting. But at the end of the day, they were jokes, you know? So it's not like...
James Gunn?
I think it was James Gunn. I almost feel like it is. I don't know. I just know there's somebody that did that, and it's like, yeah, you know, it happens. It's a really disgusting joke, but nonetheless, it's a joke. But the difference between those and what this chick posted is there's no way to interpret what she posted as a joke. I mean, she came back out and said it was a joke, but there's too much detail, right? It's too much detail for a throwaway gag about pedophilia. Like, you know, it's like Shane Dawson saying what he did was a joke. Like, I do believe some of it was a joke, but there are some where I'm not so sure because there's nothing funny about it, and two, it's just graphic detail. Too much of it. It's not even that there's graphic detail, it's that there's too much detail, right? You're not going to write a Twitter post and go into like fucking weird, creepy detail about this shit. Like, there's no reason for it to be more than like 250 characters, and her thing was like 3 paragraphs long. It was like a fucking copy pasta. More like a fucking creepy pasta.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no. I honestly do think we need to take more into account to like people like Bella. We just as a society don't, and it's like I get it. This whole idea that women are the fairer sex has kind of just been ingrained into all of us, and in some aspects, yes, it's true. But we can't just discount women doing not only criminal, but horrible shit, right? It doesn't have to be illegal to be morally wrong. But just bad shit, right? And we just kind of, like you said, set it aside. It's the men. It's the big, gruffy, fucking creepy 80-year-old dude with wired frame glasses. Okay, that was a pretty bad stereotype, but you get my point. Like, you know, yeah. So, it's annoying. It annoys me to utter hell because, like, you know, I know that not everything on that list was criminal, but it's like there was some. I'm even and I know this is like would be like a misdemeanor if it's illegal at all, but I'm really questioning the whole ID thing. You know, where she faked that ID or whatever and made it of someone younger than her. I'm still trying to wrap my head around what the fuck that was for, but
I think that was her trying to like save face, so she
okay.
could, I think, accuse the other autistic person that was a part of the situation.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
All right. But yeah, no, like, there's some messy legality there, too, obviously.
Right.
So, if we gotta make a list from best to worst, I'm sure that'll be at the top. It's like the one thing that would be a misdemeanor. So, yeah, no, I don't know. Just bang my head up against the wall until any of this makes sense.
Yeah. You'll be doing that for a while.
Yeah. But yeah, no. I've kind of run dry on things to talk about. You got anything else before
I feel like we basically covered everything.
Yeah, agreed. Okay. Well, oh shit. It has been that long. All right, I might have to cut a bit of this down, but yeah. All right, cool. Well, it was good talking with you, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.